Welcome to my channel. My name is Geraldine. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my channel about cross-stitching, knitting, crafty things. If you're coming back, thank you for coming back. If you're new here, welcome. I hope that you like what you see and that you come back. It's been a while, right? It's been really busy. My life has been really busy. I filmed a video the day after Mother's Day, so that was, I'm looking at my calendar, May 15th. Today is Friday, June 9th. It's been a while. It's been too long, but it's just been really busy, and I'm going to attempt not to shake the camera too much. I have done some traveling for work. So I'll talk a little bit about that. It's been, we've had Memorial Day. It's just been wrapping up the school year. It's just been busy. So let's get caught up. I knew I needed to come back because I'm off on another trip in a few days for vacation this time. And so I needed to get back here and see you all and check in and say hi. So, okay, work trip. I had the opportunity it was the last full week of May, to go to Pennsylvania, to Philadelphia. I've never been there before for a conference. It was a lot of fun. I had completely unrelated to stitching. I was able to meet Abby Wambach, which was very exciting. So if you don't know who Abby is a women's retired soccer player. She won 2 gold medals, multiple national championships with the women's team, and is now a motivational speaker. What's it called? The Salutatorian for Barnard College in 2018, and she wrote a book based on that speech. And she just has a really interesting, uplifting view on how we as women can support each other, as people and humans can support each other, and really talks about and pointing to the people in your life who have helped you succeed when you have a success, and celebrating the people around you who have successes, and really like teamwork is how we get it all done, right? So she was one of the keynote speakers at the conference that I attended. And then I won a sweepstakes, is what they called it, to meet her. So she spoke for almost a full hour. It was a really great talk that she did. She spoke for a little while, and then they did like a question and answer session with one of the main, what are they called? It's Friday afternoon. I'm really sorry. It's been a really long week at work. I'm going to struggle with words today, and we're just going to have to get through it together. What are they called? So one of the organizers, like the board members of the organization, had like a question and answer session. It was really fun. She made me feel like not so fangirly, because she was super fangirling when she interviewed Abby. And then we went up to like our little room where we were supposed to report to meet her, stood in line outside, tried to figure out how was she going to get in the room. She ended up walking right by us. One of the people I was with was also able to meet her, and so she took like a super rogue like side picture, because they said like no autographs, no pictures. You're going to meet Abby. You're going to get a professional photo taken with her, and then you're going to wait like 5 years. No, it was like 6 weeks to get your picture back. So sure enough, like I look back, and here she comes with like, it wasn't a posse. It was a couple people. So she walked right by us. She's much bigger in person, taller in person than I expected. And I waited my turn. It was super surreal. I was nervous the whole time. We walk in the room. I shook her hand, gave her a side hug. We took a picture. Don't ask me what the photographer looked like or really anything other than I can remember like what her jacket looked like. She had like a gray, cute like suit jacket on. And it was over. That was it. But it was super cool. And I have the picture, and I'll insert it so you can see me and Abby. But it was a really great experience. The conference was really good. I learned a lot. They always do a nurses' night out one of the nights of the conference. It was the first time I had been to this particular conference. It was huge. There were like 5,000 attendees. And it was at the Franklin Institute. And so the Franklin Institute is a museum kind of off the premise of Ben Franklin, right? So there's a lot of Ben Franklin stuff there. There's like a giant pendulum that they have that like changes direction as the earth rotates throughout the day. And there's like a giant, so think Lincoln Memorial, but like Ben Franklin. So there's like a big, what is it called? Is it like with the dome? It's like a round room with the dome, a copula, what, you know what I mean? And Ben Franklin's giant statue is in there, and like seeing it in a picture and like seeing it in real life are like two completely different things, because this thing was intense, and because it was like a party at night, they had like the lights down and it was like lit up really cool, and there were lots of different activities. There was like a scientific magic show. They had a heart that you could like walk through the structures of the heart. The hit for us, though, was the silent disco, which was in the planetarium. So they had the planetarium. There were no seats in it. It was just empty carpeted floor. And then they had projection up into the ceiling, the rounded ceiling, like a planetarium is. But instead of like just like a star show, there were like different like galaxy displays and stars and like weird like eyeballs and human parts. Like they must do like many different shows there beyond the planetarium, but it's kind of that like big dome presentation of that stuff. And there was a DJ, and you get a sanitized headset. We're nurses, right? So like that was the first thing, right? Sanitized headset, covers your complete like full, covers your ears, and you turn it on and it's connected to the DJ. So like the room, when you don't have your headset on, is relatively quiet. You can hear people kind of like singing along or like chatting if they have their headphones off. But you have to turn your headphones on and you can adjust the volume, and there's music and there's dancing, and you can hear the DJ like talking and partying with the crowd. And it was, I can't describe it. You have to experience it to really get what it's like. It was super fun. I would 100% go back and participate in another silent disco. It was really fun. We've talked about trying to find somewhere here in town that does it every once in a while. Baby, 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 oh, baby, 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 oh, baby, baby, oh. So if you ever have the chance to silent disco, I recommend. This one was just one channel. I've heard from people since I've gotten back that some silent discos actually have different channels, and so you like everybody's like dancing and listening to different things, but like you're all together. What was really nice about it is that, you know, like if you're at a bar or a club and you like want to talk to your friends, you can't because you can't hear them. But with this, you can stop, like kind of move your headphones aside, and you can have a conversation quick and then go back to whatever you're doing. It's also really fun to just take your headphones off like for those really popular songs and hear everyone singing, but good and bad, and just having a really good time. It was really great energy in that room. So 10 out of 10 recommend silent disco. And then I got back and I got this kind of recovered over the weekend. Got this really weird cold. It was definitely viral. I took multiple COVID tests. I had pink eye that I got drops for, but didn't end up even taking them more than a couple days because it became very clear that it was a viral infection. So it started with like drainage that I thought was just allergies. When I got back, like spring was in full, well, really summer was in full swing in Michigan. We had no spring this year. And then it turned into this pink eye, and then the next day I had this sore throat, and I have not had a sore throat like that since I was a kid. Like super, super sore, hard to swallow, burning all the time, coughing, waking me up at night. So last week was a little bit of a struggle. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago was a little bit of a struggle for me. So then I couldn't film I did work the whole time. I stayed home from work and worked from home for a couple days, and I was able to keep working. I wasn't miserable, but I just didn't sleep well. And it was kind of one of those things where once I started to feel better, I was like, oh, I did feel kind of punky. Like I just didn't realize it because I wasn't feeling like really, really bad, if that makes sense. And then it was Memorial Day and craziness. No, that happened after Memorial Day. That's right. And then it's just been craziness with end of school stuff. My kiddo graduated 6th grade. She's going to junior high next year. How do I have a junior high kid? I have no idea. But that's super exciting. And now, catching back up from work for being gone for 4 days. We had trouble traveling. Our flight from Pennsylvania to Chicago was delayed. The pilot got sick and they didn't have a pilot in town, so they had to fly a pilot in, which meant our flight was delayed 4 or 5 hours. Of course, we got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to get to the airport, and then we were delayed till like 10. And because we were delayed, we missed our flight from Chicago to Grand Rapids, which it's not a super far. It's like the flight is actually like 35 minutes. It's kind of ridiculous. But they rebooked me for a flight the following day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was supposed to leave at like 6:30 from Pennsylvania in the morning and get into town at like 11:30 in the morning. So very quick trip. And they would have had me getting in the very next day in the evening. So luckily I was traveling with a few other people and we were able to rent a car from Chicago and drive home the rest of the way. So it was a much longer day after a very early morning, after a sort of late night going to the Franklin Institute. So I was pretty wore out and then sick. And then, so getting ready to travel again, but this time it was fun, but this time for pleasure. And thinking about what I'm going to take with me for stitching and knitting and all the things. So that's what's going on with my life update. Let's get to the stitching. I'm discombobulated. I have not been keeping very good track. I've been mostly keeping track, but like when I sat down to get ready to film, I had to fill in like all of this week's stitching, which has been fairly straightforward. But just kind of illustrating that I haven't been as good about keeping track lately. I haven't been following my plans, which is fine. I'm letting that go. I needed a break from my very rigid, like these are the things that I'm doing every week and every month to keep up with the projects that I wanted to keep up with. May was a little bit crazy. I had lots of starts. We'll talk about all those things. But I guess the moral of that story is things might be a little discombobulated because I literally like looked at my book of days, which is how I like to keep track of my stitching, tried to grab everything I could remember that I needed to grab, put it in piles and sat down. So we're going to see what we get today. Bear with me. I have some finishes to show you because they're on top. I will show you these first. I don't remember if I talked about these. Ooh. These are little, the bottoms are, I like to wear, I'll show you what they are first. I have a pair of shorty socks that I finished. I did finish these, I counted these as my first pair of summer sock camp. This is the first year that I've been decided I wanted to participate in summer sock camp. These are Polka Dot Creek Sea Glass colorway. It is 100 gram skein of the sea glass speckled yarn with the, I think it's, don't quote me, I don't know. It comes in the sock set, but this green, it might be forest. I don't remember what the pink is called. I don't remember. So anyways, I had them crank the sock tube for me. I have another set separated from the sock tube for my daughter. And I have enough for a whole other set of shorty socks. So from a 100 gram skein, I was able to get 3. I would consider these shorty socks. They go to my ankle bone. My daughter's will be ankle socks, so they'll cover her ankle bone. So they used up a little bit more of the tube. And then I will have another pair of I think they could be ankle or shorty when I counted how many rows were left. So, but I wear them with my Birks in the summer-ish time, and they're a little bit dirty. They're not really dirty on the bottom. There's just like a little bit of the leather, that coloring from the sock or from the shoe, the sandal rubbed off. So I did this time, this is my second pair of socks from Sock Tubes. I didn't love how I did the ankles last time. I'm just learning as I go. So I did a peekaboo double double knit or folded cuff. So you start knitting and your cuff color, just a straight knit or stockinette, and then you knit a few extra rows than what you want to turn, and then you graft in instead of binding off. And I really like that because I'm a tight bind offer, even though I try really hard not to be, and so I don't get the stretch that I would like to have from my bind offs on cuffs. And so this is like the right amount of stretch. It adds a little bit of like extra stability because these are so short. It gives me just a little bit more stability, and it makes them feel a little bit more like store-bought professional socks. And they were fairly simple. I don't remember I used a YouTube video to make these. I don't remember now who it was, but I looked for, I had to search. You're not going to find a video that talks about doing this with a sock tube. But what I did is I looked for a video that was a toe up double cuff, and that's how I found this video. Because you would make them just like you would a toe up sock, essentially. So yeah, I've worn them once already. They're super comfy. They fit well. I wore them in my sandals, and then I put them in my sneakers to go to the dog park last weekend, and they stayed up they stayed on my heels, which was exciting. So now I kind of have this recipe on my Ravelry page, and I know like what I need to do these. I think the pair for my daughter, I want to not do the peekaboo color. I just want to fold them over and graft them. I think that'll save me a little bit of time if I don't need to always do the peekaboo. So I just want to see how that goes to graft straight from the sock tube to the sock tube, fold it over, and then, do the toes, graft in the heel or cut in the heel and do that. So loving my sock tubes. Still waiting for my own sock machine. We'll get there. We just haven't seen our friends who printed mine for me. Okay, I have another fully finished. This is excited. Had I started this? I think I had. Did I show the color? I think I showed the colors. I did not actually start it. I started this Seaside Tiny Town. I started it the day after I filmed, but I had started it since I uploaded. It took me forever. Like, that's just that's my life. Like, I filmed and then 5 days later I uploaded my video. Like, what's wrong with me? So anyways, Seaside Tiny Town is done and mounted, and I used a Roxy Floss Co conversion, and this is on a 32 count Be Stitch Me Peanut is the linen color, so it's like a peachy brown neutral color. The called for is like a raw linen, and I wasn't a fan of that, so I like this color. I think works well with the colors in the chart. And I made this cording using Helen D's cording tutorial. Thank you, Helen, for that. I was really struggling with what to do with this piece. I didn't want to necessarily make a flat fold. I wasn't going to find a frame for it. And I found at Hobby Lobby in like the wood, I've had something else in my hand, and then I went to the wood department where they had like all the unfinished wood, and they had these here, and it was perfect. It was almost, it's not quite, but it was almost even, top and bottom, and the sides and the bottom. The sides and the top and bottom were almost the same distance, so it was close enough. So I did a flat fold finish, I pinned it and then laced it and took the pins out, and then glued it on with A-Leans to the background. I think I did the cording first, so I glued the cording onto the edge and then glued it onto the board, and I just laid a few things on top of the stitching, and then put a little bit of weight on it. I think I used my Wood Swift as the weight. Like, it wasn't anything fancy, just to like add a little weight, because I had to put something on it because it's recessed in a little bit, just to make sure that while the glue was drying, it was getting some pressure, so that the glue would stick well. So yeah, and it was, I think I spent like $8 at Hobby Lobby, and I bought the 2 skeins of DNC, this sign, and then another one that I might put my toonies on that I showed last time I filmed. This will be going with me on my trip. It is a gift for my family, for all of the times that they have had us for beach trip vacation and let us come along on their journey. So, and all the memories that we've had doing that. So I'm excited to show them that and give that to them. Okay. Then the next thing to show you, I think I talked about this on my last video. I hadn't started it yet. I did end up starting it that night before I even started Seaside Tiny Town. Oh no, I don't have the picture. Here it is. It is Nightingale by Mirabilia. I worked on this a couple nights and then I haven't picked it back up again. I really have enjoyed stitching on it. I've been really trying to focus on getting Seaside Tiny Town done. And this wasn't something I was going to take with me on my trip or anything like that. So I can't get the picture back in there now. But that's okay. I need to not focus on that right now. Okay, so here is where I am. Had a few mistakes, nothing I wasn't able to easily correct. I had to figure out how to get a photocopy so that because this is definitely a piece that I can't just look at the pattern and stitch. I definitely need to like cross off because there's just so many colors close together and they don't color block in a way that makes a lot of sense. But it's fun to get things in and then kind of see it come to life. So I have like 4 colors on there. And it's part of her dress, like the top middle of her dress, the skirt of it. Nothing too crazy exciting, but it has been fun to work on. And this is a 32 count. I don't even remember. I feel like I went and bought it. I think I did. Yep, I remember now. It's Atomic Ranch. I don't know if I have the paper. I do. Lestrange is the linen. Not linen, it's even weave. 32 count even weave. So, yeah, that is going really well. I have all the beads ready when that's going to be at the end. I think because I'm stitching right in, on scroll frames, technically I could bead as I go. I think I'll probably wait for the end and then I can iron it really well before I put the beads on. That's Nightingale, and I will get back to her eventually. Let's see. Caroline's, nope, this one. Dog's Declaration. I worked on it once since you last saw it. I should have worked on it multiple times. This is one of those where I was supposed to be working on it weekly. I'm loving it. Again, I've had other focus, but it's turning out really great. So here's where I am. I finished Life, and then I worked on this motif up here in this corner, which is not done. It needs to come down a little bit more, and then there's more like flower fill in. So again, I'm really enjoying it. It's turning out great. I'm loving the colors. It is on 40 count Honey by Stitch Me, and I did my own Roxy Floss conversion for it, which you will probably hear come out of my mouth many times. If you're returning, you know that I use a lot of Roxy Floss Co. If you're new here, hi, I use a lot of Roxy Floss Co. I hope you like Roxy Floss Co. If you don't, give her a try at Evertote. They're wonderful. Okay, Caroline Sampler. This is a piece that I've been working on for a little while. I think I started it in March. It was a homespun needlework exclusive, and it is a Stacy Nash exclusive pattern. And it came all, that's the thing with these, is that it comes all kitted. So it came with the linen, it came with the floss, and it came with the wool to finish the bag. And it's super fun. So here is where I am. I think I got the roof in since you saw it last, and I'm working on the fill-in. These windows are like full stitching. This door is all this blue color, and then I've got like all these bricks and stuff. So I got a long way to go, but I think my plan was I was working on the grass so that I could start counting down to figure out where the rest of the motifs go so I can save the fill-in. I like to, hi, my name's Geraldine. I like to save fill-in because I think I'm gonna have times where I want to fill in and then I end up just filling in at the end most of the time, which is fine because I don't mind it. Oh, I totally skipped to finish. We're gonna go back to finishes. I told you this would be messy. So this is a weird finish because technically it's a finish. It's not an FFO, but I still have stitching that I might have to do because it's gonna be a weird finish. Anyways, so for a sampler, this is Hello from Liz Matthews, and she's doing a stitch along where you are stitching motifs, and then it's gonna be like almost like a bulletin board or like a collage, I would say, of the pieces that you stitch. So you pick different pieces of fabric and you stitch up different motifs, and there's prompts to help us like pick which motifs we're going to stitch. And this is probably not going to work, but I'm gonna try. Here are all of my motifs, and I'll show them to you up close. I think that's probably the best way to do this, is to take them one at a time. So one of the tree motifs, a border motif, a fleur-de-lis, and those are on 46 count Roxy Floss Co. porcelain. And I did try to switch up a lot of the counts. Here's a 40 count snickerdoodle flower. It's actually a flower from one of the borders. Super cute and fun though. I did a Roxy Floss Co. conversion. It was a very, very loose conversion of the colors. I did not try to match them super close. I just picked colors that were close that I liked, and then I had in my stash and made them work. Here is a border. I meant to be 3 trees and I miscounted. Hal wasn't paying attention. I miscounted how many little dips I had, but that's fine. It's probably about the length that it needs to be though. And then here's my initials. The L for my last name, and then the G and the M for my first and middle initial. This is on 36 count odd duck, which is what my friendship sampler is on, and I got like a dark corner of it in there, so that's fun. This is Atomic Ranch Copper Penny on 36 count. This is the tree and like one of the center motifs. That was a fun one. I stitched most of that on the plane and in the hotel in Philadelphia. Is that it? That doesn't seem right, is it? Tree, border. So we're supposed to have 3 motifs, 3 borders. I'm missing one. Welcome to the hot mess. Here it is. Hiding in the bag. This is on Dirty Porcelain as opposed to regular porcelain by Roxy Floss Co. This is a 40 count. I stitched a tree. I stitched the really simple border. And then, is that a dog? I think it's a dog. I don't know what it is, but a little critter. I mean, it's like a dog rabbit, maybe? I don't know. A little critter. So, I have some... I don't have a frame yet because or you know what I'm going to put it in because I don't know what size I need. I'm waiting to kind of see how we're supposed to finish the pieces before I figure out like how they're going to go together, and then I can do the frame then. And then I bought cork fabric to give it with like gold in it, to make it look like sort of like a bulletin board. And then how I did this project is to get ready for Stitch North, and I really love this idea and I'm going to keep doing this, is I took like all of my little offcuts from trimming pieces that I finished, or when I trim, I have a serger so I can trim my pieces before I start and serge the edges. I like to do that because then I have not the size scroll frame I need for my fabric, but the size scroll frame I need for my piece, which helps them to be a little bit smaller. Or if I'm not using a scroll frame, it's just less fabric to manage. So I do like to trim my fabric when I start a piece or before I start as a part of the prep process. So in this container, it's like one of those, I have them here with my wool scraps in them. So this is a, I think it's I don't think they're made for, they're not like they're photo frame storage, but I think they're made for 5x9s, not 4x6s. And they tip. The reason I have these is because I thought I needed 4. I only needed 2 so far to store all my DMC. These fit DMC floss bows. inside these guys. And so you can line them all up standing up in numerical order, which is how I have my floss organized, my DMC floss organized. So I had extras of these, and so these work really great to just kind of keep. And then like I took these to Stitch North in case I had it a small I wanted to start and I needed fabric for it. So that's what I like to do with that. Anyways, Forest sampler. That all that stuff needs to go back in the bag until I finish it. I'm keeping the floss all together, depending on how I have to edge the pieces to keep them from fraying. She's gonna go through that. So she decided to add an extra 2 weeks onto that, Sal. So I think the last Friday was the last like prompt release, and then she was gonna give us an extra 2 weeks to catch up or something, and then she's going to tell us how to finish it. So I think it'll be a little while before we finish it, which is fine because I'm leaving and I won't have time to, I'm not going to take stuff with me to do it while I'm gone. So it will be waiting for me when I get back. Okay. For a sampler. I finished my quarter of Holly Jolly Mandala. I'll try to remember to put in a picture of it. That is my first magnificent ink circles, Michelle Bendy's idea, round robin for ink circles. And so what you do is you get a mandala from preferably ink circles, that's the idea because she has so many, and then you stitch part of your piece and you pass it on to friends and it goes around in a circle, and when you get it back you've stitched a quarter or a fifth in my case of your piece and not the same thing 4 times. So because there's 5 of us in my stitchy group, we decided to split it into 5. So we're doing, it depends on who has what. We're doing like the 4 quadrants and then the middle. So a few of us started in the middle, a few of us started on the edge, depending on what we wanted to stitch. I started in a corner because I wanted to do part of the motif. And then I mapped out like what's the middle, how to separate. I had one of the funky ones where you can't like separate it like across. You have to kind of like work around the pattern so you're not stitching the middle of your quarter, but then like part of one side and part of the other side, so that you kind of get like a full repeat instead of splitting the edges in half, essentially. So we gave those away. We met last week and we did the first round of exchanging. I have mine sitting here at the bottom of this pile that I'll show you once I get stitching. So I don't have mine to actually show you. So hopefully I put in a picture for you. No promises though. I'm trying really hard. Okay. I have been doing a little bit of friendship sampler stitching. This is another one that I'm technically behind on in my goals to be done by August. But my plan that I had mapped out didn't take into account the extra stitching anyways. It's a really fun piece to work on. I feel like I've just what probably happened recently for me is that life has been so busy and I put so much pressure on myself to keep up that once it becomes unattainable, then I give up. Does that make sense? Not give up, but like I get unmotivated. So now I have no pressure. But then I open it and I look at it and I'm like, I love it. Why haven't I been working on this? So it's the Friendship Sampler by Maximum Cross Stitch. I worked on these border flowers. I think that's all I did. I do have some of the top. The borders, the green of the border is not the green. The green of the border isn't all done because there's leaves, but the main structure of the border is complete. So I've got some over one stitching to do there in the bottom of that cartouche, if you want to call it that. And that means I have to get out my hope stand because I get really annoyed when I have to like push my needle in. I stitch in hand using the sewing method for those of you who are new here. And so I get really frustrated when I have to like put in and then reach my hand underneath and pull my needle and push it back through and like this. And because I stitch in hand I don't know if it's technically stitching in hand when I use scroll frames, but I stitch in hand using scroll frames. I started using shoe stabs. I'll talk about that when I get there. Anyways, and so if I use my hope stand, I like to hold my scroll frames because I like to stitch cozy. But so I'll have to get out my hope stand to do my over one so that I can stitch double-handed and feel like it doesn't take 5 million years, even though it will take a little while. So Ellen's Friendship Sampler, loving that. I'm gonna do some more. I think it's a strong contender for going with me on my trip. Okay. There's lots of knitting and sewing that also happened. Holly Jolly. Okay, another new start. Just kind of making sure I keep up with myself here. This is a, oh my gosh, Sheba Designs. Whew. Sheba Designs bag with the Teresa Kogut fabric. Sheba Designs, she makes vinyl front, which I have one I'll show you. Oh, I already showed you. Well, I didn't show you the bag. Caroline Sampler pouch was in a Sheba Designs Gilmore Girls vinyl front bag. These bags reinvigorated my love for vinyl fronts. And she also makes ones that are just full fabric, which are also very nice. Okay, you want to know what's in here. So forever, what it felt like forever ago, I think it was probably back in February, I reached out to the Attic for them to kit me a peacock, a unicorn, a badger in 103. So they said, okay, like it's going to take us a little while. We're busy. We need to make sure we have the material, all those things. So they called me a couple weeks ago and said, we have all the materials. We're going to get started. And like asked a few questions. And then she called me back. I was like, okay, yep, 103. Like I need linen. What linen do you think I need? All those things. So she called me back not long later. I couldn't answer the phone, so we played phone tag. Anyways, not important to the story. She had talked to someone else who really recommended that I not use 103 on 40 count because because it's full coverage, you want to make sure you have good coverage, if that makes sense. And the 103 is spun so much tighter, and it's charted for Spa Delger, but the 103 is spun tighter, and so the coverage wasn't going to be as good, and she was worried that no matter what linen I used, I was going to get like show through to the point that I wouldn't be as happy with the piece. And it really is meant to look like a tapestry, at least in my mind. That's what I want it to look like. There's a lot of satin stitching. I definitely think the satin stitching would have used a lot of thread or been a struggle. Excuse me. To use the 103. So we regrouped. We did Spa Delger, which I could have just ordered from anyone, which was fine. I was excited to finally get something from the Attic. And I thought about doing Vicki Clayton Silk. The chart is beautiful. It's full color. It's really easy to read. I didn't make working copies though, because it is full color. It would have been, and it's big. It would have been expensive, even not actually expensive, but just the ink for it. And I think because of the way it's set up, it'll be easy for me to just follow along. I might think about making a working copy eventually just so I don't ruin my pattern, but here is the piece, or the model. Gorgeous. I love all the colors and the fun animals. I just love the tapestry look of it. And so many people are stitching this right now. It's definitely a long-term piece. It is, I think I did the math and I don't remember what it was. It's 320 by 340 and it's full coverage. So if we do the math on that, I don't have a calculator handy and I'm filming with my phone. It's a lot of stitches, but it's really fun. I worked on it for a couple nights. It's really easy stitching. I usually wear my readers on 40 count. I do whatever it is with this, and maybe it's because it's not over dyed. It's just they recommend it as Weigart linen. And now I don't, cobblestone. And because it's not, maybe because the hand dyed is usually a little bit tighter, I don't have to wear glasses. Here's what I have so far. So I have some of like the top, this is the top right corner. These like peacock looking things, and then a bird, and then I think some kind of flying insect. I don't know what it is, but really fun. The stitching with the silk is really nice. It took a long time to kit up. This is one of those pieces that I knew I was going to have to wait for. I knew it was going to be more of a long-term project. So I was like, maybe I'll start it for like a special occasion. Wait, save it for a special occasion to start it once I like get some of these other whips done that I'm not using that word for real, but I feel like I should be working on. And then I got it in the mail from the Attic and I had to start it right away. I'm trying to see how I can get it so that easily so you can see all the colors. There are multiple skeins for quite a few of these colors, and there's a lot of color. I mean, for me, it's a lot of color, different colors, but it's still like color blocking stitching. So yeah, I'm really excited to keep going on that. this is primarily what, like, I feel like this and Nightingale are kind of like competing for like that dense, lots of stitching, lots of color change pieces, but I'm excited that this one with good light, I don't need my glasses, so I mean this could even be a contender to travel with, because it's not bad. The only thing is I have to be careful with the silk because my hands have been dry, which is weird because it's summer, but I just have to take care of my nails and my cuticles and my hands before I stitch with these. All right. Okay, this next piece I talked about that I had started, but I didn't show you last time because I had forgotten to grab it. I made myself a Letters from Europe project bag using French General fabric that I had ordered from Fat Quarter Shop. And then the card that I would never do this except for personal use because this isn't my artwork, but the artwork that came, we got a card from Nicola in the Letters from Europe box. I took a photocopy of that and then used the like printable iron-on fabric transfer stuff, the technical name of it, I'm sure, to make that panel, and then quilted it. And so the back matches the top, and then the inside is what's around here. And I thought it turned out pretty well. And I put the needle minder on that came in the box on the front to remember to put it on the piece before I lose it. This is the piece that I decided to start on 56 count. It is Hilda Weiner, 1908. And Hilda was the girl from Austria. Couldn't remember if she was the one who moved. No, she was the granddaughter, or her father was the grandson, so the great-granddaughter of the gardener for the Duke of Parma. Anyways, she has an interesting story, but you don't care. You probably care less about her story and more about her stitching. Just have a tiny little start. I had messed it up, and part of the reason I didn't show you was because I needed to fix it. So here is my tiny little 56 count stitching. I'm using Swab 103 in the called for red-ish pink color, and it's so fun to stitch. And I don't know if my eyes are doing something funny or it's just the type of fabric I've been using or lighting or what, but I stitched on this without glasses, without magnifiers. It's better when I put my readers on, but I did do a few stitches. I know when I'm not stitching, if I'm too lazy to go get my readers, I know I'm risking missing a thread. I did get myself some beading needles, some ballpoint size 10 beading needles. I haven't tried them yet. It is a little bit tough to use my ballpoint. I like the Sullivan ballpoint needles. I'm using a 28. It is a little bit difficult to use them with this linen, but because I'm so used to the ball tip, I feel like I'm more likely to, it's harder to use the sewing method and catch my threads and feel like I'm not gonna like split a linen thread. And this linen that I'm using is 56 count Dead Sea Scroll linen by Seraphim, and it's a really great. I have another Seraphim that I've stitched on recently. This was my first Seraphim, and I like their fabric a lot. It's really great to stitch on. Okay, I have the friendship sampler. I already showed you, but that was the chart for it. Okay, so like here's, sorry, I broke my nail. I love Modern Folk Embroidery. I love Jacob's Designs. I love the 2023 Stitch Along piece. It's gorgeous. I went full throttle on it the first 4 months of the year and did 10% every month. So I was at 40%. Or did I do it for 3 months? No. Yeah. Because I quit. Did I quit in April? I quit in April. Things got real. And I started to feel like I wasn't making the progress that I wasn't in the stitching sessions that I was doing. I wasn't making the progress that I wanted to. I am more of a product stitcher than a process stitcher. I love the process of stitching. I have to see progress in my work to be motivated. And so I got to the point where I just felt like I had a couple slow days. I struggled through them. I put it down, gave myself permission to put it down, and then I didn't pick it up for a while. And this is sort of what happened last year with my really big modern folk embroidery piece that you can see the bottom of there. And so it is what it is. And then last night, I'm behind on Floss Tube too. So last night I watched Jacob's video with his new pieces, his huge, beautiful Verlander pieces, which I was tempted, but put the brakes on myself for. Made me motivated to stitch On Reaching Skyward again. I feel like I just needed a break, and whatever was happening just needed to happen and settle out. So I picked it up again last night, and I made some good progress for the amount of time that I had to stitch on it. And so it's going to stay back out. So it's on the scroll frame, so you're not going to be able to see the whole piece. But I can show you what I've been working on. And if you've been living under a rock, this is what it looks like. I'm doing lots of variations of all the different pieces and parts. I'm doing lots of mixing and matching, but the medallion I'm working on is this one in the center. That's the one that I picked. I was planning on doing different, like, so here's the 4 medallions you can pick from, and each of them have a different outside border thing in the lighter color. And I was gonna like do one of each in each corner, and then I realized that these are square, and the piece that they fit in, it's a different, it's like not the same. And I didn't know if it would work. So I'm sticking with the fill-in that's on the main piece, essentially. But it was when I was so excited to get to the middle, like the main event, right? And then I got there and I was like, oh, this is a lot of work. I think it's actually what happened. So I worked last night, like I said, quite a bit on it, and I've been kind of like strategizing, because that's also sort of how my brain works. Like, what is the most efficient, smartest, easiest way to work on this? Like, what makes the most sense? Like, that's why I have the job that I have, because that's just the way I think. So I'm always PDSA, plan, do, study, act, right? So like that's one of our terms. So you like try something, kind of evaluate if it worked, and then try something different or keep doing it if it worked. So I like to experiment, essentially, and think of better ways to do things. Better is definitely in quotes, but so I'll show you what I was doing. So when I started this, like, it's the negative stitching, right? Like I get hung up on that and like how to tackle it, because my brain sees the stitches, it doesn't see the negative space, doesn't see the holes, right? And so it's literally like, okay, like when I'm doing a row, it's like, okay, 12, skip 1, 10, skip 1, like, and that frustrates me. And it makes me feel slow, even though I'm a relatively fast stitcher. Again, like this is a battle in your own head, right? This is no judgment on anyone else. So I worked, I did a few rows on this side over here, straight across, and then I started playing around. So I was not quite as far on this side, so I did probably a good 6 or 7 rows across here, and then I started to kind of do this, like, how do I trace around? So these are all filled with, not filled, but there's highlights in this lighter color. So I decided to come down and like kind of try to do this like negative stitching in the middle to get like the general shape, and then I can keep working. And then the outside, while they do have these little like stars and dots in them, the outside will be, I think, be a little more straightforward to stitch once I kind of have the structure of the medallion in. Until I feel like I just want to go in rows again, because I could do that too. Like, I definitely don't stick with one thing once I don't marry it. So essentially, so I was excited to work on that. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know what % I'm at, because of course I'm using Pattern Keeper to track my progress, but I'm using paper because the Pattern Keeper version of this chart does not have this medallion. So I don't know where I'm at, but I'm definitely behind my 10% to be finished by the end of October, which is okay. I'm trying to take some of that pressure off myself about that, but yeah, I just want to keep working on the medallion and see what happens. I saw someone today, I know people have finished this. I saw someone today who had on Instagram, I think. Oh, it was in actually Caroline's Off the Grid group. They have like the tiny little bottom corner left, like of this whole giant piece, which is just amazing to me. So it was exciting and motivating to see as well. But just, Jacob didn't talk about this piece in his Floss Tube. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you're not scared of swear words, check out Stitchman Darcy's podcast. And Jacob makes an appearance in it, and it's hilarious. But there is quite a bit of F words in it. So if that's not your thing, don't check him out. But anyways, it wasn't even, Jacob just showed pictures. He wasn't on video. But just listening to him talk about his Verlander sampler just kind of reignited my love of modern folk embroidery. So it was fun to be able to pick that up. Okay. Seaside Tiny Town took me longer than I thought. So a lot of my focus was on Seaside Tiny Town. And then the Forest Sampler was like this week, the most of this week. Getting caught up on that. And then I plan on doing a little more work on Reaching Skyward tonight. And then I've got to decide, excuse me, what I'm taking with me on my vacation. Excuse me. Okay. I have one knitting whip to show you. Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts and Evertote is doing a Finish It Up weekend this weekend, and it was really good timing because I have a thing that I want to finish. So I started this t-shirt a couple months ago. I had kind of stalled on it once I got to knitting in the round, and then the whole Sampler September thing from Evertote got going, which I'll show you in a second what my plan is for that. And so the yarn, my sock skeins, my striped sock set, and my sampler and floss has not come yet, but my I ordered the minis that came this week, and I was like, I have to get this done because I want to cast on that, because to do socks, a sweater, and a sampler in September is redonkulous, not even reasonable. So the plan is to get this done so I can get a head start on my sweater, because I want to wear my sweater to Jacob Palooza if I can finish it. No pressure. But anyways, here is my sweater. This is the Rocket Tee. I keep calling it a sweater because it's knit, but it's a Rocket Tee. It's fingering weight and mohair held together. The colorway is called Harbor by Emma's Yarn. And I am like to belly button. So I have about 5 or so inches left on this, and it will be done, and well, not done, because I have to do I-cord for the binding on the bottom. Then I got to pick up the sleeve stitches, do a row or so, and then do I-cord bind off there. And then you pick up your neckline stitches and do I-cord bind off, which seems like it takes a lot of yarn, and it also is not going to be the fastest bind off in the world, but it's going to be a nice clean finish. My understanding is that superwash yarn stretches, so I have it so that I tried it on last night, and then I didn't knit on it anymore yesterday. I did get quite a bit of, this is my progress yesterday. Yeah, but I'm loving how it's turning out. But anyways, my plan is to try it on one more time once I feel like I am close to the length that I want, knowing that it's gonna maybe block a little long, which is okay. I don't mind things being a little bit longer, even though I'm a short person. I like things to cover my backside a little bit, not like all the way, but like it's not gonna be tunic length, but I like a little length back there. Excuse me, and I don't know, I just love it. I was surprised how well it fits. I did do a swatch, but it blocked really well. So, or not block, the swatch, but it knit up the block, like it, whatever. The gauge is working. I don't know why. This is the DK version of the all over the place. I'm really sorry. Tannis Fiber Art pattern. This is the DK Rocket Tee, where you knit with DK weight, mohair and fingering, or fingering and fingering held together. The mohair is fine. It's a little bit of a pain to stitch with because the fuzziness gets stuck and everything, but it's fun. And I'm excited. I'm motivated to get it done, like I said, because I want to start the next sweater, t-shirt, tee, but when I started this, my goal was to have one. I have another, the sea glass tee that I started. It's color work. And so I knew it was going to be a little bit longer stitch. So my motivation for starting this was also like I wanted one that I could actually wear this summer. So that's also why I want to get it done, because it's warm out and I want to be able to wear it. It'd be really cool if I could take it with me on vacation. So, all right, without further ado, I've been beating around the bush about this. Let me show you. So when I signed up for, sorry about the crinkling, when I signed up for Sampler September, I did choose I'm a sucker for striped socks. Or self-striping yarn for socks. So I immediately chose the self-striping yarn with the sampler set with the bags, like the whole thing, because I can't do anything halfway. And then I got home and I saw the minis and decided that I wanted to do a tee with the minis. So I messaged, oh gosh, now I'm not remembering her name, the wonderful woman from Timber Yarns, and said, hey, like, what colors from your collection will match the sampler set so that I want to make a tee and I need like a base color to like make sure I have enough yarn. And she was like, what color from the sampler do you like? I'll whip something up and throw something in the bath for you. And I was like, what? So I picked Vintage Grape. So she sent me 100-gram skein of Vintage Grape, which is gorgeous. It's pretty true to color. What you're seeing on the camera, it's my shade of purple. And if you don't know about Sampler September, the pattern is through Evertote. The pattern, the chart, is from Ellen from Maximum Cross Stitch, and the floss pack that she used to design her piece, then Timber Yarns designed a striped sock set, and then used and also did minis, 20-gram minis. So here's the 20-gram mini set. And so it's the dye, it's a different dye lot, right? So this is a little bit different. The Vintage Grape here is a little bit different. But I also love this like dark blue color. It's like a navy. I had a hard time choosing which one. But so my plan is to make a rocket tee, which is the Tannis Fiber Arts fingering version of the tee that I'm knitting here. And I'm going to do it in stripes. I don't know if I'm going to do all the colors. Those of you who know me know I don't love yellow, but it might have a place in this piece. I don't know. So the base is going to be purple. I'm going to mix stripes in. I was thinking I maybe wanted to do pinstripe, but I'm nervous that I don't have enough of this to do pinstripes. So what I do know is I think Tannis's pattern is 8 row stripes, and I think those are too wide for what would look good on me. So I think if I can do smaller stripes, I'll just do more color changes, which I don't love because I really don't like weaving in. I don't know. So I'll get there with like those decisions, but these are burning a hole in my pocket. I really want to cake them up and get a swatch going. So yeah, that's coming. I don't know if I don't think it will get done before I go on vacation, but when I get back, that will be one of the first things I start, I think. In that same vein with Timber Yarn, I ordered a few. So what's unique about Timber Yarns is when she does sock sets, she does them matching. So you get 2 50-gram skeins instead of one 100-gram skein. So you could knit 2 at a time, or you're actually starting at the same spot. So your socks actually match. So they're 2 single skein sets dyed at the same time for matching socks. So you just have to make sure you start at the same end of each skein. It's interesting. Her suggested needle size is 2 to 3.75 millimeters, and I definitely don't stitch. Oh, size 2, 3.75. I definitely don't. That's interesting. I definitely don't stitch my sock set size. It's her gauge. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It says it's fingering weight. It's like 430. I did the math last night. It's like 430 yards for 100 grams, which is a little short. So it's like be a little bit thicker than like Emma's yarn. I'm not going to gauge it to make yarns. To make socks. I'm just going to go, but I think it'll be fine just using smaller needles. I don't know. 6 to 7 stitches per inch. I feel like that's normal. Sock weight. I don't know. Anyways, and these sock sets came with project keepers too, which is fun. So this is a Canada inspired sock set. It is Hudson Bay colors. So the company Hudson Bay. If you've seen like the wool blanket that they make with the red and the green and the blue and the yellow and then the cream color, like the wool blankets, that's Hudson Bay. I think yeah. So those will be fun. And then, it's called, Canada is that sock set is called. This one is called Timber Gnome, and I loved it before I saw the name. I love gnomes, but I loved it before I saw the name because they're like my colors, pink and teal, and like a charcoal and a gray. I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 colors. So, and it's really fun to see them caked up. If I had the patience, I would do like the, what's it called? It's not a gobstopper, jawbreaker style, where like when you hand wind it and then you change direction every time the color changes so you can really see the colors. But I'm too lazy and I use a ball winder, cake winder, so. With my 12-pack socks set or mini set, my floss of the month came for June. So if you haven't seen yours, look away. The neutrals were a collection of tans and pink, like browns. So it was really fun. They'll be nice to put in my collection. And then look at those aquas for the brights. And then there's a variegated in there. This is another, like, Carrie kills me with her darks. This one is called Outer Space. It's like a super dark bluish black, and like Carrie, you know how I love those. So it's almost like a little bit charcoal, but like bluer. Almost like Deep Dive, which is my all-time favorite Roxy Floss. And then Polka Dot Creek gets me to, I've ordered a few times from them. Again, self-striping. They're from Airdrie, Alberta, which I believe is close to Edmonton or Calgary. I'm not sure which. I think Edmonton. So I got a Canada Day Bonspiel color with a charcoal mini. So they do striping sock sets that are 50 grams, which is plenty for me. If I'm doing shorties, I still might get two pairs out of them if I used all different cuffs and heels and toes. So that one's a really fun one. And then I had them sock tube me up. Is that a thing? This Rough Rider pattern, because it's really similar to my daughter's school colors. So I thought that would be fun. I also like the Rough Riders. My family is from Saskatchewan, so I hope that doesn't mean some of my Canadian friends and I can't be friends anymore. But if I was going to pick a CFL league that I don't follow CFL football or football in general, But if I was going to pick one, I'd pick the Rough Riders. My family likes the Rough Riders. My uncle that we lost a few years ago loved the Rough Riders, had season tickets. So I think of him when I think of the Rough Riders. Actually, two of my uncles who have passed now, they love the Rough Riders. And then you get like a football colored mini skein. It doesn't quite go with the sock set unless you're really going for the football look, but I'm going to use like a gray or a charcoal for that, and then it will be my daughter's school colors. And I think from this tube I'm going to try to get a pair of socks for her and a pair of socks for me. And then, oh, so I had this really weird thing happen to me. I ordered, what did I order? I ordered this on 123 Stitch and something else random. It was a very small package. When I got home from Pennsylvania, there was a giant manila envelope that my husband had set aside for me, and I was like, what the heck did I order? And like, I've been known to do that and not remember. And I open it up, like, what is this? And it was like 5 sets of this Mill Hill kit and 3 sets of that, and like, it was all Mill Hill kit type things. There was like 1 random dimensions, like mini in there. Not a mini, but like a smaller piece. And I was like, what is going on? And then I like looked at my order online. Like, sure enough, it was like this little cute tomato pincushion, which I love. And then like a few like super little things. I think it was some 103 that I was that like I got a notification that this like 103, probably the 103 for Hilda, that I was missing the color for. And there was like, if I had to guess, there was at least $400 or $500 worth of kitted cross stitch stuff, all different kinds of Mill Hill, like Christmas and Easter, and like 5 of the little lamb and 5 of the little sheep and the egg thing, and it was crazy. And I was like, what the heck? And so I emailed them, and it took a couple times, actually quite a few, like 5 or 6 times back and forth. And they finally mailed me, or emailed me a return label to return that all back to them. So I was like, how did this happen? And it really looked like it was probably a shop order that just accidentally got packaged with my order, but there was no invoice in there. There's my invoice in my package, but there was no invoice in the envelope for all of the things. So like I had to like type out like what Mill Hill kits they were and the quantity and then the size of the envelope that I had. It was like a whole thing. But I was happy to drop that off at the post office last weekend and return that giant package to them. I've never had anything quite like that happen to me before. So that was an interesting experience. I was like, what the heck would I even do with all of this? And this is a lot of money that they would be out. So I was happy to return it to them because it was not mine. I had not paid for it. So hopefully it finds its way to the shop that it was meant for, because I can't imagine like a person ordered it. It had to have been someone who was planning to resell it. Unless it was something that I had gotten in that accidentally like didn't get sent back out like from the distributor. I don't know. Anyways, my last thing to show you is my timber yarn, Polka Dot Creek. When I got my other sets, what I wanted to order was this Worldwide Knit in Public Day set. So it's really cute. It's like a little yarn ball, but it's a globe. How adorable. So they have the Creekside Yarn Festival this weekend. They try to plan it around Worldwide Knit in Public Day. So they do a special sock set. Their theme this summer is ice cream. They have a bunch of different, what is it called? So striped and, what's it called? Speckled. Oh my gosh. I told you my brain today. Speckled sock sets that are ice cream themed, and they like made a new brown that's waffle cone that looks like waffle cone color, and she designed a sock and glove mitten pattern that looks like ice cream cones. They're super cute. Anyways, I didn't get any of those. Actually, they're not even available yet because they're going to the Creekside Yarn Festival first. But anyways, so they're doing these. So they did these sets, and because they're selling them at the Yarn Festival and they want people to like use it for Worldwide Knit in Public Day, they're even all caked up for me, which is super fun. It's supposed to be a surprise. I cheated and looked. You won't see this until after it's out. The cat is out of the bag. So I'm going to show you now because I don't want to show you later. It came with these cute rainbow needle stoppers and then this progress creeper. These are hand painted. They're all a little, I don't know if they're all different, but there's many different versions of it. These are like right up my alley colors, blues and greens, which is super fun that I got lucky and got those. This yarn, my friends, like, I'm excited. Again, because it's a surprise I haven't seen. They're really good about showing on their website their self-striping colors and like what they look like because they have a circular sock machine that they can put a skein on to knit up easily and show you the colors. I watched their podcast yesterday and apparently they're done. They have their socks knit because they love the colors so much. So it is, so I have cherry and peach for my heel and my minis. So it's still two 20 gram mini skeins and then 50 grams. So like this sock sets, or this says it's 230 yards for 50 grams. So I think so that would be 460 yards for a 100 gram skein. So that's why it's not like 30 yards isn't for that whole, like that's the difference, I guess, between timber. I'm just looking now. Yeah, it is. You can tell it's a little bit thinner, tighter woven. So I'll have to play with that when I work on my timber yarn. Anyways, I digress. But this is the color. And it's called Snow Cone. And it is like super saturated snow cone colors. Like how fun is that? Looks just like them. So I'm really excited. I'm going to start these socks tomorrow. I think. I'm pretty sure I'm going to. So it's this beautiful purple, this wine colored pink, not wine, raspberry colored pink, a bright blue, a bright teal, a yellow, and like a grass green. Like, I'm here for it. This is really fun. I'm super excited to get started. I think what I'm going to do, I've been thinking about it. I'm going to do a double cuff again, but I'm just going to start at the, I'm going to do these, my hand knit these. So I'll do a stockinette double cuff fold. I'm going to knit the sock tube because now I know the number of rows that I need. And then I'm going to do a afterthought heel because then I can stitch it on 9-inch circulars and it'll be super easy peasy. All I have to do is count rows until the end and then I can go back in and cut in the heel after I do the toes. Yeah, they're really fun. I don't even know what color. Maybe the peach, I don't know. This color is like the pink in here where like the peach isn't in here. I don't know, but I'm really excited for those. The caveat to me starting those tomorrow, I feel like I need to because it's Worldwide Knit in Public Day. Every time you do an Instagram post with this yarn and you hashtag the Worldwide Knit in Public, there's a hashtag, it's about Worldwide Knit in Public. You get entered in, like, I think August 1st, they're going to do a drawing for like 3 gift cards for the shop that you can use either online or in person. And it would be online for me, unfortunately. So I feel like I need to start them tomorrow but like the main focus this weekend for Finish It Up weekend is going to be my sweater. But I do want to do a little bit of stitching, but I've done a lot of knitting between the socks that I finished and that sweater. I've done a lot of knitting, so it has cut in on my stitching time, which is fine. I feel like my creativity and what I want to do ebbs and flows, and like that's okay. I've been trying, there's not a ton of cross stitch stuff here. I've been really trying to rein myself in on my purchases. I have a ton of stash that are things that I all want to stitch, which is what convinced me not to immediately run out and buy Jacob's pattern and order the beautiful floss that goes with it. I think if I can be good this summer, my goal will be when I go to, good as in watch what I'm purchasing. My goal will be when I go to Jacobpalooza as a memory of going to Jacobpalooza. I'm going to buy some of the Berlander floss there and maybe a chart. That's the plan. Or what I've told myself. So thanks for hanging with me. Sorry this was a little bit scattered. It was really great to catch up with you. I hope you're well, and I will see you after I get back from vacation. I might do a whip parade. I've been thinking that I would do like a mid-year whip parade to kind of show you where I'm at. So maybe we'll see how crazy work is when I get back from vacation. Things are really ramping up at work with some things that we're working on. So anyways, take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.